Have you ever had someone try to control what you do on your own property? Not complain about noise, not argue over a fence line, but actually try to tell you that you're not allowed to do something completely legal on land that belongs to you? Because that's exactly what happened to me. I'm 25 years old, and I live in a lakeside cottage that has been in my family for nearly a century. My great-grandfather bought this property when the shoreline was mostly trees and dirt paths. Back then, there were no designer homes, no pavdraibguas, no community bylaws posted on decorative signboards, just water, woods, and neighbors who minded their business. The cottage itself isn't fancy. It's wooden, a little weathered. The dock creaks when you step on it. The paint isn't perfect, but every inch of it carries history. My grandfather repaired that dock himself after a bad storm in the 70s. My dad taught me how to swim right off that shoreline, and some of my best childhood memories involve sitting in a canoe at sunrise, learning how to fish. Fishing isn't just a pastime for me, it's tradition. Every year I renew my fishing license. It costs $25. It's legal. It's regulated. There are catch limits. There are seasonal rules. I follow them all. I respect the lake because it has been part of my family longer than I've been alive. But over the last 10 years, the lake has changed. Many of the older families moved away. Their small cottages were torn down and replaced with massive modern houses. Floor-to-ceiling glass, steel railings, landscaped yards that look like they belong in magazines. And with those new houses came new neighbors, and eventually an HOA. Now here's the key detail. My property is not part of that HOA. Predates it. My family never signed anything. We don't attend meetings. We don't pay fees. We're not bound by their rules. Most of the new neighbors seemed fine, distant but polite, except for Sophie. Sophie lives right next door in one of those sleek, modern builds. I guess she's somewhere in her late 50s, always dressed neatly, always carrying herself like she's evaluating something. Our first real interaction happened about a month ago. It was a calm afternoon. The lake was almost glassy. I had taken my canoe out for a couple of hours and caught a few decent fish for dinner. Nothing excessive, just enough for a meal. As I pulled the canoe onto my beach, I noticed Sophie walking toward me, not standing at the property line, walking directly onto my sand. I figured maybe she wanted to introduce herself properly. Maybe she was curious about fishing. Instead, she looked at the fish in my cooler and asked, "Is that legal?" I blinked. "Yeah," I said, "as long as you have a fishing license." She crossed her arms slightly. "And you have one?" I nodded. Every year, there was a pause, a long one. She glanced at the lake like it had personally offended her. "I just worry about the environmental impact," she said carefully. "This lake is delicate." I explained that the state regulates catch limits for that exact reason. That conservation is built into the system. That I follow every rule. She didn't argue, but she didn't look convinced either. I told her I needed to clean the fish before it got too late and wished her a good evening. That should have been the end of it. For 2 weeks, I didn't see or hear from her. Then one afternoon, I checked my mailbox. Inside was a typed letter. Not handwritten, not neighborly, typed. It talked about how fishing was harmful to the ecosystem, how removing fish disrupted natural balance, how our community should aim for a more environmentally conscious standard of living. Our community, that phrasing stood out to me. The letter suggested that I voluntarily stop fishing to set a positive example for the neighborhood. It didn't cite laws. It didn't claim I was breaking regulations. It simply implied that what I was doing was wrong. I read it once, then twice, and then I tossed it straight into the recycling bin. Because here's the thing. If I were damaging the shoreline, littering, or breaking conservation rules, I'd understand concern. But I wasn't. This wasn't about protecting the lake. This was about control. She moved into a pre-existing environment and decided that traditions older than her mortgage needed to change. And I refused to entertain that idea. At that point, I honestly thought it was over. I assumed she'd realize she had no authority over me and move on. I underestimated how far she was willing to take it. because 2 weeks later she came back. And this time she wasn't just holding a letter. She was holding something she thought gave her power. And that's when things escalated. 2 days ago, everything came to a head. It was Saturday afternoon. I had invited a few friends over. Nothing wild. Just burgers on the grill, a cooler full of beer, music playing quietly in the background. The kind of relaxed lake day I've had 100 times before. We were laughing about something stupid when I realized we were almost out of drinks inside. So I told one of my friends to come with me to grab more from the fridge. We walked into the house, still joking around. That's when we heard the knock. Not aggressive, not soft. 3 firm, deliberate taps. I remember thinking the timing was odd. Most of my friends just walk in. I opened the door, and there she was, Sophie, standing perfectly straight, holding an envelope. Her expression wasn't polite this time. It wasn't cautious. It was determined. Before I could even say hello, she spoke. I tried to handle this diplomatically. That was her opening sentence. No greeting. No small talk. I've now contacted the HOA, she continued, and they agree that what you're doing violates community environmental standards. I just stared at her. Behind me, my friend had gone silent. She held out the envelope like it was a court summons. This is formal notice, she said. I'll admit something. I'd had a couple beers. Not enough to be out of control, but enough that my patience filter was thinner than usual. I took the envelope and glanced at the header. The HOA's name was printed at the top in bold. Underneath, there was vague language about maintaining neighborhood standards, protecting shared natural beauty, and discouraging harmful practices. Nowhere did it reference an actual law. Nowhere did it claim I was violating state regulations. Because they couldn't. I'm not part of their HOA. They have zero jurisdiction over my property. I looked back at her. You do realize, I said slowly, that I'm not part of your HOA, right? Her jaw tightened. You live here, she replied. You benefit from this community. I live here, I corrected. I don't belong to your association. She shook her head slightly, like I was being difficult on purpose. The lake affects all of us, she said. Your actions impact everyone. My actions. Fishing with a legal license. Following state conservation rules. On my own waterfront. Something about the absurdity of it all hit me at once. The letters. The dramatic tone. The idea that an organization I never joined could dictate my behavior. And I laughed. It wasn't planned. It just came out. A genuine, disbelieving laugh. She looked stunned. You think this is funny? She asked. I think, I said, still half smiling, that it's stupid to believe your HOA can control what I do on property it doesn't govern. The word stupid hung in the air. Her face flushed red. For a split second, I considered softening it. But then I remembered her walking onto my beach, questioning me, sending typed letters, escalating to an HOA instead of having a normal conversation. And I realized something. This wasn't about environmental concern. This was about authority. She thought the presence of official letterhead would intimidate me. Didn't. So I handed the envelope back to her. You're wasting your time, I said, and then I closed the door. Not violently, not dramatically, just firmly. Click. The music outside suddenly felt louder in the silence. My friend looked at me like he'd just watched a reality TV episode unfold in real time. Dude, he said, what was that? I shrugged, trying to act calmer than I felt. Apparently, I'm a criminal mastermind, I joked. Illegal fisherman. We went back outside. The party continued, but something felt off. Every time I glanced toward the lake, I half expected her to be standing at the property line watching. Later that night, after everyone left and the house was quiet, I replayed the moment over and over. The laugh, the word stupid, the door closing in her face. Was I justified? Yes. Was I technically correct? Absolutely. But was I tactful? Maybe not. There's a difference between defending your rights and escalating tension. And now there was definitely tension. The kind you can feel even when no words are exchanged. Still, part of me felt that if I had responded gently, it would have encouraged more interference. Because once someone believes they can dictate your behavior, they rarely stop at one demand. Today fishing, tomorrow what? No campfires? No canoe? No dock repairs without HOA approval? Where would it end? As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't decide whether I'd protected my boundaries or made my life more complicated. But one thing was clear. This wasn't over. Not really. Because people who crave control don't usually walk away quietly. And Sophie didn't seem like the type to accept a closed door as the final answer. The next morning, the lake looked exactly the same. Calm, quiet, unbothered. It didn't care about letters. It didn't care about HOAs. It didn't care about neighborhood politics. And standing there on my dock with a cup of coffee, I realized something important. This entire conflict existed only because someone decided they had the authority to redefine a space they didn't create. My family has fished here for generations. Long before community guidelines were printed on glossy paper. Long before architectural review boards decided which shade of gray was acceptable for exterior paint. And yet somehow I was the problem. I kept thinking about the word entitled. Not in the dramatic internet sense, but in the literal sense. A belief that you are entitled to control situations that don't belong to you. Sophie isn't evil. She probably genuinely believes she's protecting the environment. But belief doesn't equal authority. And concern doesn't equal control. Later that afternoon, I did something simple. I went fishing, not to make a statement, not to provoke, just because it was a peaceful Sunday, and that's what I've always done. As I paddled out onto the lake, I wondered if she was watching, if she was taking pictures, if another letter would appear in my mailbox. But nothing happened. The water rippled softly against the canoe. A breeze moved through the trees. For a moment, everything felt normal again, and that's when the guilt crept back in. Not about fishing, about how I handled it. Calling her belief stupid wasn't elegant. Closing the door wasn't neighborly. I could have calmly explained property boundaries, printed out documentation proving I'm not in the HOA, set the record straight without sarcasm. That might have reduced hostility. But here's the other side of it. Why is the burden always on the person defending their rights to be perfectly polite? She stepped onto my property uninvited. She questioned my legality without evidence. She sent formal letters instead of having respectful conversations. She escalated to an HOA knowing I wasn't a member. At what point does patience become permission? If I had responded softly every time, would she have taken that as agreement? Sometimes a firm boundary requires a firm response. The door closing wasn't just physical. It was symbolic. It was me saying, this stops here. Still, I don't enjoy conflict. I don't want to live next to constant tension. This cottage has always been my peaceful place. The idea of it turning into a passive-aggressive battleground over fishing feels absurd. So I'm considering my next move carefully. Option 1. Ignore everything unless legal action is actually attempted. Option 2. Send a formal letter clarifying my non-membership in the HOA and requesting no further harassment. Option 3. Attempt one final calm, adult conversation. Right now, I'm leaning toward documentation. Calm, clear, written, not to apologize for fishing, but to remove any illusion of authority. Because facts are stronger than frustration. At the end of the day, this situation boils down to a simple question. If someone tries to impose rules on you that don't legally apply, are you obligated to entertain them politely, or are you allowed to shut the door? I keep imagining how my grandfather would have handled it. He was kind, patient, but firm. He probably wouldn't have laughed, but he also wouldn't have stopped fishing. And that's where I've landed. I may regret the tone, but I don't regret the boundary. The lake is still here. The dock still creaks. The fishing license is still valid. And no HOA letter changes that. If protecting a family tradition makes me the villain in someone else's story, so be it. Because some things are worth standing up for, even if it means closing a door. So now I'll ask you, was I wrong for laughing and shutting it? Or was that exactly what needed to happen when someone tried to control something that was never theirs to control in the first place? Let me know what you think.